And we are back with another edition of the Broken Not Shattered, the BNS podcast. Um, Welcome everyone from wherever you are. This is awesome. This is a great time to be having this kind of awesome conversation. My guest today is a mother and an advocate for persons with autism. Diana, welcome to the BNS podcast for the first time and hopefully not the last time. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Good, good, good. For those of you who know, you know that I have a personal interest in this area. So anytime I see someone who has a story to tell with a hidden disability or someone who is on the autism spectrum, I try to jump on top of it. My day job is Daniela. I am CEO of Autism Ally Group, which is based in the DMV area. It's one of the largest nonprofit organizations that work with individuals and persons with autism. I see a name Carmen and Daniela. Who's Carmen?
Carmen's my son. He was diagnosed autistic when he was 3 years old, and he just turned 24.
Wow.
So I say Carmen and Daniela because that's our Instagram handle.
Awesome. So there you go. So we're gonna talk to you about a lot about Carmen, and then we'll talk about your own journey. My first question to you then is: you are a mother who advocates for people and persons with autism.
Mm-hmm.
And most of this advocacy would have come out of your own personal experience, correct?
Yes.
Take us back to when you found out that your baby boy was now diagnosed with autism.
So he was just 2.5. And actually, my husband noticed it more than myself. He saw something different in him than I did, and my approach was just give him some time. He's a baby, just let him, let's see what happens. I didn't really notice it as much, but he was the kind of child, and everyone, this is where you learn that everyone on the spectrum is so different.
Yes.
He was the child that you can take him on a 5-hour drive and you wouldn't even notice he was in the back seat. Didn't say a word. Where my older son, he has an older brother, just a year older. They're 14 months apart. He's the kid that's like, are we there yet? 5 minutes into the ride, are we there yet? So they're so different. And also, I could put Carmen in front of the TV in his car seat when he was younger, and he would just give you a blank stare and stare at the TV. So that gave my husband signs, and I was like, maybe he just needs some time. So then we decided a couple months later to get him diagnosed. And but backing up, so Carmen was a typical case at 18 months where he lost all his skills. Before 18 months, he ate everything, vegetables, everything. Then at 18 months, it stopped. It totally stopped. All he wanted was his milk. Milk, milk, milk. Didn't want any other food whatsoever. So that's pretty typical because they say, the autistic children, there's something that happens at 18 months. Yeah. We got him diagnosed at about 3 years old. We went through the town system with our region, and we got him diagnosed. And then it was like probably about 3.5, we got his diagnosis for the psychiatrist that back then they weren't giving out levels. It was just, he's autistic. Right. They were giving out, he's PDD, pervasive development disorder, which is at the beginning of the spectrum, right, where it's just, a slower child learning at a slower pace. But the psychiatrist says, you know what, he could be PDD, pervasive development disorder, but let's just give him autism, because once he gets that title, he will get into more programs.
Programs, right. Yeah.
So what I find, and now I know, learning that was a way how they just broke it gently to parents, because clearly my son's autistic. Clearly,
Yes. Right.
like
Right.
we saw that through the rest, going until 5. He didn't speak until he was 5.
Wow.
6.
6, Carmen.
He said 6. You better listen to Carmen.
He has the best memory. The best.
Yes.
So yeah, probably like after he's 5, before he's 6. And what was your first word, Carm?
Water.
Water.
Water. Wow. That's
Water. And even now he drinks like, I'd say, 10 liters of water a day.
Oh wow.
Love water.
So there's a mother out there now, Daniela, who's actually listening to you, and maybe she just got the same response that her son or her daughter has been diagnosed, right? What were the fears that you had what were your initial fears and concerns that you had when you when you got the diagnosis of Carmen, and how did you overcome them?
I'll be very honest. So 24 years ago, it wasn't much talked about. There wasn't a lot of there was no Instagram, there was no social media where you can go on and see what is this.
Yes.
Basically, you had to go to the library.
Yeah.
Or if you found some pamphlets from the doctor. There was really nothing. And for me, I would have loved to see, what does a person with autism look like when they get older?
Mm.
Right? And I could never find that. Like, what does this look like in the future? Because that was my biggest concern. I think that's the biggest concern now when I go on social media and I post. The biggest concern of parents is, who's going to take care of my child when I'm not here?
Mm.
That's every parent's concern with a child with a disability. Every parent's, because we'd love to live forever, but that's not the case. So back then, I have to say, I didn't know what to expect. All I knew is that, how when children grow up in their different phases, Carmen's phases lasted forever. Like as a parent for my first child, I'm like, okay, great. He's out of diapers. Okay, great. Where Carmen was like, still in diapers. He's still, you know what I mean? All these things lasted longer. And, but I have to say, Carmen was really good with all the diapers. He was like, took him a little bit longer, but he got out of that stuff. He was the type of kid where visual, if you showed him a few times over and over how to do it or what to do, he got it. Yeah. Once he got it and you maintained that routine, he was good with it.
I like what you just said, the prompting and then the maintain of the routine. That's very big. Yes,
very big.
Yeah.
Routine is very big, like even for him now.
Yeah.
He has to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It doesn't matter if he ate like breakfast at 12 and he's not hungry, he's going to eat lunch because that's just routine.
That's the routine.
That's the routine. Like, even though he's not hungry, he has to do it. Don't break the routine.
That's the way they're wired. Yes, that's the routine. That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
so that your biggest fear was and concern was who's going to take care of Carmen. And in today's world, we've noticed that that's one of the biggest challenges most mothers have. How are they addressing that fear?
Well, it all depends on family. Who's there to support you? I have to say, I hear a lot from parents that as soon as they find out their child's diagnosed, there's no more village. People, like, there's not a lot of people are there to help them. And I think it stems from fear of the unknown.
That's correct. Yeah.
Right? Where my parents, they really didn't help me raising Carmen. Once in a while they did, but it wasn't because they didn't want to. I think they just didn't know how to deal with him.
No, yeah. They didn't know.
Right? So that's like, who's there to help you in the future? Do they have siblings? So my son has an older brother, where we hope to, but we never want to put that burden on them, right? We would hope their siblings would do it because they want to, and they feel it's their brother. So I would never put the burden on him if he didn't want to. And then the third piece would be saving money for them, and getting a good, like, in the will, or I think here in Toronto, in Canada, it's called there's a program where, when the parents are no longer there, there's a company, a system that steps in and
Okay.
just, I'm sure there's something in
Right.
DC
Right.
too.
Yes. Yes.
I think it's called the Hannard or Havard. I'm not sure, something.
Okay.
But anyways, just to put something in place for when I'm no longer here, that I know he'll be taken care of. That takes the burden off of parents. But if your child is young, you're not there yet.
Right.
Right? So you have to be there to know
So,
what you're doing.
24, you said he is now 21, 24?
24.
So 24 years ago, like you said earlier on, there was very little talk about what's going on. The statistics were definitely they were nowhere near what we're seeing now. Here in the US, it's 1 in every 31. Literally, every 1 in every 31 child born in the US comes on that spectrum. But 24 years ago, that was not the case. What would you say was the role of early diagnosis? Because I think when people don't, that early intervention is not there, then it becomes a challenge. What's your take on that? That early intervention. Should parents keep on prolonging, hoping for the best, or should they quickly go and find out what is going on with their loved one and start that early intervention? You've gone through this, and you're a mother, so you could explain.
In my opinion, and I've seen all kinds of things, in my opinion, is get the diagnosis and get your child on services and therapy as soon as you can, because it's a true fact that the child's brain until 6 years old is a sponge, and the earlier you can get them into therapy, the better they are off themselves.
Mm.
And I've seen in our journey so many parents in denial. So many parents in denial where their child is not diagnosed until they're in the school system because the teachers are forcing them to do it.
Right.
And it's getting later and later. The wait lists, the longer you wait, the wait list for diagnosis, if you can't afford it, get longer and longer.
Right.
And it's that was a big issue. Parents that just didn't see it, and parents also that didn't want their child labeled.
Okay, that's good. Because then there was like a stigma around it.
Yes.
People didn't know. It was so stigmatized. People didn't know how to address it. In some parts of the world, they would hide the kids. They wouldn't bring them out, and so all those challenges would have affected most of the decisions that parents were making at that time. But now you have become an advocate, and you're speaking on behalf of persons with autism, and also speaking to families who are going through the process, especially where you are in Canada. Here in America, almost the same, maybe slight difference. But what would you say is the biggest thing that you need to advocate? You're advocating on when it comes to having a child with autism. And after that question, my next question would be something that we read on your bio about fixing. When you thought it was something that could be fixed, we're going to go to that fixing question. But before that, I want you to look in the camera and speak as an advocate. What would you tell families who their loved ones have just been diagnosed or who are on that journey? 24 years is a long time, Danielle.
Yes. Right now, what I advocate for the most is acceptance and awareness.
Okay.
And there's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
People need to be aware when they see someone with autism, and I think that comes from educating themselves. And acceptance is a big one for us because Carmen being 24 right now, and he wasn't ready. So Carmen went through the school system. He went through elementary school and high school. And at that point, he wasn't ready. He was to make friends. He wasn't ready to be social. So now, being 24, he's at that point.
Oh, because I'm sorry, Mom.
And right now, his biggest thing is having friends. He would love to have a couple friends to go to the movies with. And that's where acceptance comes in.
Right.
You know, understanding what they need, what a person with autism needs, and how to, talk to them, and it's not like a regular relationship.
So, in his world, how do you go about helping him make those friends? Is this something you support him, or does he just go and pick his own friends, like you and I will just pick our own friends?
Well, he's got he wants friends, but he wants friends his own age.
Yeah.
And in their early 20s. And the thing with friends, people in their early 20s, they're not doing what he's doing right now. They're either in university or they have a job, they could be married, whatnot, and they're not looking for friends.
Right.
They've been through that. They've done through that. So it's really hard for us to know where to find these friends because there isn't programs like this for that age group.
I have a hard time for me,
I know it's a hard time finding friends.
I just don't know. I didn't mean.
I know.
It's just I want to try to make friends at the young age.
I hear it every day, Mom. I want friends every day.
Mom, I never had friends.
I know we're working on it. So Carmen goes to the gym 3 times a week. Hopefully, he's saying hi to everybody. He's a little social in there, so hopefully he'll make friends there. I'm constantly we're buddies together. We're always going out together.
Mm-hmm.
We're always going to the mall or we're going for lunch. He's going for walks in the community. So, hopefully one day we'll find one. We have a lot of support on our Instagram. Oh, I'll be his friend. I'll be his friend. But he's looking for that one-on-one connection, right?
That's correct. So in Maryland, sorry for interrupting you. So in Maryland, we have programs called the DDA, right? And it's like a day program. The for-profit side of our company, which is Reynolds Caregivers, which is been around for about 17 years, we have a day program, and we have young men like Carmen, right, that come to the day program. We have about 8 to 9 centers now where they can just come and meet people their age, interact with them, and go out into the community and just socialize, right? Because that's what Carmen is asking for, is that he wants to socialize. He wants to,
that's right.
He wants to interact with other people outside of mom, right?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with interacting with mom or dad, but he just wants to go out and do his own thing. And so, don't you guys have stuff like that in Canada? None of that?
Maybe in Canada, but not in my community.
Okay.
And that's the gap. That's where it's lacking. The support for adults with autism is lacking. That's where it's lacking.
Well, and where are you in Canada?
We're in Toronto, just half an hour north.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's nice to know. Maybe we can talk offline, and I can give you a few ideas of what we can actually start to create a place where people can a safe place where these young adults can come in and just hang out a couple of hours a day, a couple of hours, a month or whatever it is that you can put together.
Mm-hmm.
So you can fill up that actual gap. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's something we can talk about offline because we're actually in the process of building a whole center, a large center called the Uplift Center, and it is focused to meet the needs of individuals who have disabilities, especially in the areas of intellectual disability or in the place of autism. So we can talk some more offline and see how we can be of support to you. So outside of the podcast, this is what I do for a living. So I'll be glad to give you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So let's go back to the fixing. At what point did you realize that autism? Because you said something about your bio says something about autism can't be fixed. So it's a journey and a lifestyle. When did you get to the point of realizing you can't fix it? This is something I have to accept and go from there. At what point in time was that?
So when he was diagnosed, when you thought about autism, all I could think of was Rain Man.
Okay, yep, that's it. Yes.
Rain Man, Dustin Hoffman. And yes. I looked at Carmen, I'm like, he's not Rain Man. He didn't seem anything like Rain Man, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I didn't know, and like I said, I didn't know any other person with autism. I didn't know what autism looked like at all. Unless it was with in the center. So Carmen did 6 years of ABA therapy.
Okay.
And other autistic children in the classroom. That's all I can base it on. And I didn't know anything else about it. So I thought, we can fix this. I want to fix this. I want to fix him. But having that kind of mindset is what disappointed me all the time, because I realized that we weren't fixing. I couldn't fix him. He wasn't getting fixed. Right? He would, every 6 months, he would do something. He would have a behavior, and then he'd drop it and he'd start another behavior, whether it was rocking or walking on his tiptoes or yelling or whatnot. Like, there was always something. So I think I realized that I could not fix him until it wasn't his like mid-teens.
Wow.
I realized that I have to stop thinking to fix him, and I just need to jump into his world. I need to work with him in his world. And the biggest thing in a parent who has autistic children is to have patience.
That's correct.
Because your child will get there, but at their own time. You can't force that.
That's true.
Right? Like, Carmen wasn't ready to have friends when he was in school. Now he is. Like, that's his time. You know, his time came now that he wants to be, start to be social.
Right.
So you can't force anything. They need to be ready at their own time.
Right. So I'm listening to Carmen talking in the background because he's actually there. And before we end the show, we might get him to say hi to our audience. But there was a time when he was nonverbal.
Yes.
What happened?
He was up until, he says 6. He started saying, so to get him to speak, we actually used what a lot of parents don't like to do, hold things back. So if he wanted water, we would hold the water and say, do you want water? And then even if he just moved his mouth, we'd give it to him and slowly request more from him, right? Take away all his favorite toys and have him and he would point at them, but eventually we try to get him to move his mouth and to say what they were. Right. That's how we got him to talk.
Wow.
But he wasn't conversational until he was, I'd say about 12 years old, 14.
Wow.
He started getting conversation at 14, but that was just 2, 3, 4 word sentences. I would have to still speak to him and question him to get him to speak some more. And then I'd say when he was probably in his late teens, he became more conversational.
Did anything happen that triggered up that behavior of getting more conversational, or did it just?
No, that's his time.
That was just his time.
That's when his brain got it. Like, okay, I gotta keep asking more questions. Like, gotta keep going.
So he went through some times when he couldn't speak, and maybe he was bullied in school and all that stuff. I read that up somewhere. And how did you deal with that as a mother or as a parent?
Well, I think we just did a reel on that a month ago where I didn't even know
Wow.
that he was being bullied. He actually told me that a month ago
Wow.
because a parent messaged me about, can you do a reel on bullying? Because, my daughter's getting bullied in school now. So I just asked Carmen, and he's like, yeah, I was bullied. Kids were just walking behind me, making fun of me, and just doing all the actions I was doing. They were copying me.
Hmm.
And he told me that a month ago. I didn't know. He didn't tell a teacher. But like back then, he didn't have the mindset to tell people.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Couldn't tell people. He didn't know he should tell people.
Mm-hmm.
And he would actually told me he would just get mad at them and chase them.
Because that was his only way of communicating his frustration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So like I said, I didn't know that he was getting bullied until about a month ago.
So how's the journey been like now? What's the journey like now?
Now he's I'm pretty confident with a little bit more teaching him life skills and just him watching me cook and stuff. Like he's very interested in cooking.
Okay, that's good.
He buys his own lunch. He can go to Walmart and pick up, if he needs
Anything.
He can go and buy it himself with his debit card. I said he makes his own food. He takes care of himself.
That's good.
He doesn't need any help with his skills, with his life skills and anything.
Those are his daily living skills. He
can
handle them.
And he learned all those through ABA.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, ABA therapy is a good thing too for any child or individual to actually attend. I agree.
I've heard mixed feelings on it, but that's something else. So
yeah. Like everything on the spectrum, people have different opinions on different things.
Right.
We offer that service, so we know that it's been helpful to parents out there. So the journey is now at the stage where he's about to do more of the community. He wants to socialize. He wants to engage.
Yeah.
Has he shared with you his long-term plans, what he wants to do with himself, who he would like to become? And if so, how are you guiding him, just in case there's a parent out there who might be listening to you?
So his long-term plan would be to live on his own with some sort of assistance that I'm very confident he can in the future live on his own with someone coming to check on him from time to time. He wants to get a job. And if not even a job, a volunteer, something to keep his day filled day by day. Every day have something to do, something to look forward to.
Correct.
Yeah, he's nervous, but he's excited to one day live on his own.
Wow, there you go. Well, let's do everything we can to encourage Carmen to live on his own.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Daniela, for taking out time to speak to us. It's been a joy. Before we let you go, there are two things we do. We have something called a drop-off question, where somebody will drop off a question, not knowing who the next guest is, and then you'll have to answer that question. And then you would then drop off a question for the next guest. So start thinking about what you want to ask them. So the last person we had before you says, what is the one thing you've done? And I'm reading it so I don't make a mistake. What is the one thing you've done in your life that you feel is the best decision or was the best decision that has set you up for where you are right now?
Well, specifically with Carmen, I think the best thing I've done is to stop thinking that I could fix him and just jump into his world and take it from there. guide him from there and push him further from there, from where he's at now.
Okay. And that's a fantastic decision. And what will be your own drop-off question for the next guest who's coming in?
Is this specifically like autism based?
Any question. You can ask them anything in the world.
Wow.
But if you want to ask them something that's autism based, that's fine. Hopefully they might know somebody. But if they're not, then it's anything.
I'm going to say, what's the best accomplishment you've done so far in your life? You've had so far in your life?
The best accomplishment. Okay.
You've achieved in your life so far.
Okay. Well, that's the question from Miss Daniela. All right. All right, Daniela. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Does no pressure. Does Carmen want to say hi to our audience?
Carmen, do you want to say bye to everyone?
Goodbye.
Come, I want to see your face. Quickly, come on. Quickly.
Hey, Carmen.
Bye.
Bye. Nice having you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
All right.
It
Thank
was
you.
a pleasure talking.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Too. All right, guys. That's Miss Danielle and her great son, Carmel. We're wrapping up the show. Please, Danielle, where can the people find you again?
On Instagram at Carmen and Daniela.
Carmen and Daniela, that's the way to find them, at Carmen and Daniela. So follow her journey as she shares her journey. For any parent you know that has a loved one with autism or knows somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, please do that and just get encouraged and get inspired. Thank you again, ma'am, for making out time to be with us. In our own special words, we wish all our guests love, peace, and more grace. And I'll talk to you after the show, Miss Daniela.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys.